evening. Welcome to the Fantasy Wildcard. I'm your host, Kev. You can follow me on Twitter at dynasty_goat. And speaking of goats, I've got two of them with me tonight. Well, first of all, come to my co-host, Ali, who you can follow on Twitter at FFDynastyGrill. Good evening, Ali. How are you?
Good evening, Kev. Yeah, I'm wonderful, thank you. Just about recovered from the weekend, staying up, watching the draft, and then going to work. And yeah, a bit disappointed the first night, staying up till 4. It was actually 4:30 a.m. I stayed up to, and I never got to see a Tampa Bay pick, so it was a bit annoying. I don't know if you could tell on Twitter, I was a bit frustrated, but other than that, it was fascinating to see how the draft unfolded. So feeling really good, thanks, Kev.
Good stuff, mate. And we'll bring you to the second goat on, well, the third goat is class of me, but maybe not. The second goat on the show, Matt, who you can follow on Twitter at MattFFDynasty. Good evening, Matt.
Evening, Kev. How are we doing?
I'm doing really good. I had a really nice draft, but the question everybody wants to hear is, how are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thank you. I don't know why you think otherwise. Obviously, the Giants smashing it day one with the picks that we took. It were brilliant, and then never saw day two, so I fell asleep. Sadly missed it. Don't know what's happened, and yeah, feel great for it. So I don't know what you're getting at.
Yeah, that thing you can see burning in the background is a Michael Carter jersey. I think, I'm sure he said the phrase "dead to me" several times. So just to clarify your stance on that, but maybe we'll have a bit more clarity on the Brees selection. But yeah, it's been obviously the draft this weekend. It's been a lovely event. My favorite time of the year, probably your guys as well in the main. But yeah, we've got an amazing show today. But before we get into the bulk of the show, we've got a few key messages first of all. We'll start off with yourself, Matt, about the streamathon.
Yeah, so the charity streamathon now, it's getting close, Saturday the 21st of May. As you know, 16 hours of Dynasty talk, raising funds for a great charity in mind, something that us three are all close to. Obviously, we did it last year and went really well. So yeah, hoping that everyone can support us, come follow us when we do it on the 21st of May. The donation page, that's open now. You can find that on his Linktree at Fantasy Wildcard on Twitter. And yeah, just looking forward to it. It's getting close now. And is it 3 weeks to go? So
less than, yeah, it's crazy.
It's really exciting. Obviously got lots to talk about after what's just happened with the NFL draft. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun and obviously for a great cause.
Indeed, looking forward to it. We're just in the final preparation stages, and the people that are coming on, they don't know which teams are going to be talking about yet, but we do. So yeah, we'll make them wait a little bit longer and put them under a little bit of pressure on the day. So that's something big on the horizon, but something that's happened recently that's been quite interesting and fun for us as well is something that Ali's going to share with us now.
It is. I'm going to tell you about it, but we've got a sexy model for those watching on YouTube. We've got some GTA custom themed Fantasy Wildcard t-shirts and hoodies, and they are, I have to say, they're fantastic. Very well designed, especially Kevin in the middle is looking really hard. You don't want to mess with us three, but just want to say it was fantastically done. So a huge thanks to Muggs and the Raider Ryan for the design and the completion of these absolute bespoke custom orders. So they can literally do anything, any team, any player, any college team, anything really. He's absolutely smashing it. I know that he designed that Newcastle one that's absolutely taken off for him. So well done to him. You can get one of these, a t-shirt for £17 and the hoodie's £31, and I would definitely recommend it. So if you want to follow them or search them on Twitter, it's at MugsNFL and the designer at Raider_Ryan1.
Yeah, they're absolutely world class. I like them that much. I bought a t-shirt and a hoodie. So I will be wearing these year round. I'm going to save it for a little bit after tonight's show, but I just wanted to give you a little sneak preview of basically how bad you can look, but still look good, which is what I'm doing right now. So we'll move on from my face and everything to a better part of the show, which is recapping the 2022 NFL draft, highlighting some of the key players from a dynasty perspective. And these are the guys specifically selected on day 1 and 2 of the NFL draft. Want to focus on the key guys today, and then obviously as we get further into the offseason, we'll pick up on the various other players as well. So it's going to be a few QBs, few running backs, a lot of wide receivers, and sadly for Matt, no tight ends on this show today. But they're not relevant anyway. So we'll kick off at the QB position, which was a really interesting one on draft night. And I don't know why he's smiling already, but Ali will let you kick us off.
Yeah, don't worry, Matt. I'm going to turn your frown upside down with talk of the quarterback one, and it was always going to be the quarterback one, wasn't he? It was Kenny Pickett, the only quarterback to go in round 1 and round 2, as a matter of fact. Went to the Pittsburgh Steelers. We all know it's a fantastic landing spot. He was mocked there plenty of times before the draft, but we didn't think he'd be the first quarterback on the board. We didn't think that Pittsburgh were going to have their choice of quarterbacks. In fact, every team had their choice of quarterbacks, but they all passed up on them until round 3, other than Kenny Pickett. So Kenny Pickett, he moves most certainly to the quarterback 1 spot. It's just been a meteoric rise for Pickett in his 5th year at Pitt. 42 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, completely blew up, looked fantastic, took command of that offense. In his previous stats before that, he only threw 39 total touchdowns. So he's getting a large knock on him for why did it take him so long to produce all these massive figures. 39 touchdowns to 25 interceptions. So he was an average quarterback before then. And then he just blew up in 2021 with the 42 touchdowns. Unfortunately, he then got to the combine and his hand size was definitely comped to a baby. It was not good, and a lot of people were fading him. Yeah, the stats show that quarterback with that size hands really do not make it in the NFL. But yeah, here we are. He's still our quarterback 1 by default, just because of that massive draft capital that he's got the advantage over the other quarterbacks. But I do think he does deserve a huge amount of credit for an incredible season. I still personally liked him pre-draft. He was my quarterback 3. I see the upside in him. It was just a lot of it was the talk about he was definitely going to go round 1, whereas there was a bit more uncertainty about the other quarterbacks. But yeah, a lot of people say the knock on him is he had better weapons in 2021. That certainly helped his season, but I don't think it was everything required for that massive ceiling. He had to take that leap as well in 2021, and he took over that offense and done really well. So you can sort of see similarities to Joe Burrow, again, another guy with smallish hands. Kev loves this comp, but just look at Joe Burrow's stats. He only had the one massive year, which was very similar to Kenny Pickett. Again, it didn't take 5 years, but just look at the 1 year where he did blow up. Okay, he threw 60 touchdowns, but he did have Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson that year, which are the now dynasty were 1 and 2. So he panned out okay. I don't think Kenny Pickett's going to reach any heights like Joe Burrow does, but he's going to be a very safe quarterback. That's for sure. It's definitely the best possible landing spot for Pickett. He's got them weapons, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool. We've lost Juju, but then we gained George Pickens as well, who was a good value in the draft for the Steelers. So they've got plenty of weapons there, as well as a good tight end. And obviously Najee Harris catches 1 million passes out of the backfield. So it's all set up for Pickett if he can beat out Mitch Trubisky, which I think he can in season 1. So yeah, it's all set up for him to be a sort of a mid-tier quarterback. I've got him in a dynasty tier just below Tua, who hopefully was going to take the leap this year, and Zach Wilson as well, someone that I'm probably higher than most people on. He's actually older than Zach Wilson, which is interesting, but I think it's all set up for Kenny Pickett. I know these two certainly agree. They we're not his biggest fans pre-draft, but you've got to give it to him. He's definitely the quarterback 1, isn't he?
Yeah, I'll just say begrudgingly agree that is QB 1. I mean, I feel like it is. You kind of said it, Alex. It's by default in it. I think I was pretty low on Kenny Pickett. I had him as my QB 5 entering the NFL draft, but just because of what happened to all the other quarterbacks, really, by default, he's got to be the QB 1. The only one that went in the first round. Obviously, the other quarterbacks moving all the way down to round 3 before we saw another quarterback taken. So, yeah, it's got to be Kenny Pickett. It's got to be the QB 1. And really interesting that he actually lands in a good situation. Usually with these rookie quarterbacks, they tend to go early in the draft, so they end up with these teams that are struggling, thinking, like I said, Zach Wilson, one that comes to mind last year, Trevor Lawrence as well, all these guys, Justin Fields, going to teams that are struggling. It seems to take a while for these guys to adjust because of the situation they land in. But Pickett, I mean, it don't get any more juice, does it, than going to Pittsburgh with the weapons that they've got, Najee in the backfield to help him there as well. It all sets up really well for Kenny Pickett. So yeah, begrudgingly, I have to agree he's the QB1. To be honest, I do like it for Deontay Johnson, a guy that I'm high on. So the fact that he's got Kenny Pickett, a guy that we know's got a pretty good deep ball on him, hopefully that can unlock Deontay Johnson. But yeah, sadly, I have to admit he's QB1 and quite easily for me.
Yeah, he's absolutely terrible as a talent, but like you said, the landing spot is massive. It's the best landing spot for any QB rookie coming in. You've got to take him in your Superflex rookie drafts as well. I'd take him as I 103. I think 103 to 106 will be his range, but personally, I'd rather take a QB over a wide receiver just based on positional scarcity at that point. But I think longer term, if I am taking Pickett, I'm looking to move off him. I don't believe in the talent long term. Feels a little bit like a QB version of Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the sense that everyone's really happy with the landing spot, the draft capital, etc. But I think underneath it all, the talent, it's just not there for me. I know it's the perfect situation. I just don't see it. I've got him in a tier with Mac Jones, which has probably been pretty favourable to Pickett. But yeah, he's got to beat out Trubisky first. Go on, Mitch. So we'll move on from Kenny Pickett, a guy who we all hate apart from Ali, and we're going to move on to a guy I think we're a bit indifferent on as well, to be honest.
This is more like it for us, Kevin. I mean, this is more our kind of realm. Going on to Desmond Ridder, the quarterback that landed with the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, this is a guy, me and yourself, Kev, we're both pretty high on him. Sadly, slipped in the draft. We were kind of hoping he could squeeze into that back end of the first round. I mean, we've got round 3 draft capital, so it's not quite played out how we planned. But again, a little bit like with Kenny Pickett, I've put Desmond Ridder as my QB too, and I just think he's got the best situation out of all the other quarterbacks behind Kenny Pickett. He lands with the Falcons. Kev, I know it's a tough one for you because your love for Marcus Mariota. I mean, you've got 2 guys that you absolutely love on the same offense. So I guess it's a win-win for you, Kev. You've got your favorite quarterback starting, whoever it is. But yeah, Ridder landing with the Falcons. I'm still quite excited by it. I understand obviously the round 3 draft capital. It's tough and it does make him more risky, but then that in turn, I think that's going to give you pretty good value in your rookie draft. So I can see him going early second, maybe mid-second as well. And I think to take a chance on somebody like Ridder, we know the upside that he's got. Fastest quarterback to run at the NFL Combine. So we know that there's rushing upside there with Ridder. The only other issue is the weapons that he's got. Thankfully, the Falcons selected Drake London in the first round, so that's one weapon for him. And then we all love Kyle Pitts as well, don't we? But behind that, that's when it becomes a bit more dicey. But in terms of Ridder, I think he's got the talent to beat out Mariota. I'm sorry to say it for your Mariota love, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Desmond Ridder starting at some point this season, and maybe earlier than we think. We know whoever's going to be the starter week 1. They're in for a rough ride, as I say, given the weapons that they've got over there in Atlanta. And that could then lead to a short reign for the starting quarterback. So if that is Mariota and he struggles those first few weeks, why don't they just take a look at what they've got in Ridder and then they can reevaluate for 2023. So do quite like Ridder. Think he's got a chance to start, and in turn, he can be a really solid fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, I think Falcons have automatically become my second team, which will be really exciting news for our Bucks fan, Ali. I think you are right. It's probably the most favourable QB situation out of the rookies that have come in. But actually, all the 3rd round rookies and even Sam Howell have got pretty good landing spots. It's just the draft capital that's killer. If it was all in round 1 and you had Atlanta, Tennessee, Washington, you'd be licking your chops thinking they can beat out these guys. Obviously, Mariota's not a long-term solution based on his contract, but he's got a 1-year deal. If he performs, he can get an extension. There's Malik Willis, which we'll come on to as well, and we're not going to talk about any other QBs on this show, but I like the landing spot. I think Ridder, he's not got the best arm strength, so I think playing in a dome is big. I like the weapons longer term. You mentioned Pitts and London also. There's a dart that Ridley might come back, so we'll have to see about that. But yeah, there is concerns. Round 3 draft capital, even if he does get some playing time towards the end of this season, there's nothing stopping him from taking a punt on any round 1 QB next year, and it's very likely they're going to be picking high. So he's my QB2 as well from this class, but definitely not a round one pick like the first guy we spoke about.
No, it's nowhere near as good as Kenny Pickett, but we're not taking him in the first round, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, he was my quarterback 5 pre-draft, so maybe I was a little bit low on him. He's now my quarterback 2, so I'm going to move him up. And he's got a fantastic opportunity. I think Marcus Mariota's never tied down the starting quarterback spot. Not sure whether he's going to do it again this year. Can see the Falcons being the basement team of the NFC South, and then I think Desmond Ridder's going to get a shot towards the end of this season. So who knows if he hits it off, then you're gonna gain massive value on your investment as a second round pick. I don't think I've seen him go as a first round pick yet, but certainly early second round I think is his sweet spot, and I'm prepared to take him the early second round just because of that value that you can gain. And in a year's time, if he knocks off Mariota for the starting job, then you've got someone that you can either start or you can sell him on for maybe one of them 2023 first round picks, and you've gained massive value from your investment. So Desmond Ridder, I'm not going to have tape lock. I'm going to move up to my quarterback 2. He's got a fantastic opportunity, as have all the other quarterbacks that have gone after Pickett. I think they're pretty much landed in the perfect spots. I think the Falcons is the best spot out of these ones, just because of the starting opportunity that Ridder's got. Yeah,
like I said, all the QBs have landed in the third round. They've got great landing spots. The next guy we're going to come on to, it's my guy. It's Malik Willis, QB for the Tennessee Titans. It's a good landing spot, but I think that he's dropping down boards, not only due to the draft capital, but also this notion that Tannehill is secure longer term, which he probably is more secure than Mariota and whoever's the QB at Carolina. Who's that? Cam, Darnold, PJ Masks. We don't know who that's going to be doing yet, but I actually think Willis could be starting earlier than we think. I don't think Tannehill's secure at all. He's absolutely bombed in the playoffs, even when they're winning games. So, yeah, I think he's going to get a shot sooner than we think. So I wouldn't be dropping him too far. He definitely deserves to be in that tier with Ridder. But yeah, the fact that we thought he was going to be going early round 1 as high as pick 2 because he's a generational talent for nice and good shout on that. He was wrong. But yeah, Malik Willis, he's very enticing, but he's got to hit the field, and I think he will, but it's just a shame, really. We'd love to see him really get an opportunity to shine and be the next Kanana QB.
Yeah, I don't personally quite see it that way. I don't think that Malik Willis sees the field in 2022. I think Tannehill's locked in. I think the Titans, just because of that lack of quality in that division, I think people forget. I think weren't they the 1 seed in the AFC last year? They're a sneaky team. They've got a decent coach. They've now got Burks. They've got Derrick Henry coming back. They've got a good team. I think they're going to be ahead. They're going to nail the playoffs. They're going to be in there, and it's going to be a case of Willis will sit this year, I think, and Tannehill will maybe if he bombs it in the playoffs again this year, then they'll look to move him on and maybe see what they've got in Malik Willis. But I do think he's not going to be starting this year, so he moves down to my quarterback 3. But we know what the talent is. Those saying that he was going to go 2 overall to the Lions was quite hilarious. But there we are. It's a decent landing spot. I think they've got an out on Tannehill next year. I think they might look to move him on if it doesn't quite work out this year. But I think the Titans are a decent team where Malik Willis is not going to see the field this year.
Yeah, to be honest, I think I'm with you, Ali, on that one. I don't think that he sees the field next year. A little bit like you said, really, just because of the strength that they've got in that division, it feels like they should be getting to the playoffs again. And why would they take a chance on a rookie quarterback when they've got Tannehill over there? Just it doesn't make sense to me. If they are struggling, then yeah, maybe we do get to see a bit of Malik Willis. But whatever they're in with a shot of getting to the playoffs, I don't see Malik Willis seeing the field. But to be honest, I just don't see what the Titans are doing altogether, to be honest. I mean, they're in a position where, like you said, that they were the number 1 seed, and then they went and traded AJ Brown. I mean, I can't believe, Kev, that you didn't even bring that up at the start, that the Eagles pulled off such a
such an unbiased fan.
I know. Very, very gracious of you, because you have to put up with all the rubbish of the Eagles and didn't even get to talk about your guy, AJ Brown, going over there. But yeah, I just don't get what they're doing. I feel like they're in a position where they can at least get into the playoffs again. The fact that they moved AJ Brown, it was a bit of a head scratcher and kind of puts a bit of pressure, doesn't it, on Tannehill. But I suppose they did bring in a rookie wide receiver that we'll get onto a little bit later. But yeah, overall, back to Malik Willis. We know the upside that he's got in fantasy. As soon as he sees the field, I think that's when people are going to get excited, because we're going to see that rushing upside and everyone's going to fall in love with him all over again. It's just waiting until he gets that shot, I think.
Indeed. So we're going to move on from the QB spots now to the running backs. And actually, I really do like this running back class in terms of some really enticing spots for a lot of the guys, not just the top three, but on future shows we'll be really highlighting some of the running backs. So we'll come back to you, Alan, kicking off with our consensus running back 2.
It is, and it's another Kenneth that I've fallen in love with. It's Kenneth Walker. And it was, talk about the Titans head scratcher. This was another head scratcher for me, just not from a fantasy point of view, but just from an organizational point of view. I mean, what are the Seahawks doing? They're in a division. They're one of the toughest divisions in the NFL, if not the toughest. They've traded away Russell Wilson. So you think they've got to go rebuild. Why not rebuild now while the other teams are going for it? And then when they're rebuilding, that's when you'll be strong. But no, Pete Carroll says, no, I'm in my 70s now. I need to win a few games at least now. I'm going to pick a win now running back in round 2, which doesn't make much sense to me. But there you are. Kenneth Walker landed on the Seahawks. And just from a point of view where I think he's going to get plenty of action right out of the gate, I think it's a fantastic spot for fantasy. Obviously transferred from Wake Forest to Michigan State and absolutely blew up with 1,725 scrimmage yards. He was the second runner back off the board as we expected. Early round 2, only just a few spots after Breece Hall at pick 41. And yeah, initially didn't like the landing spot when I heard it. I thought he was going to go into a better spot, but maybe that was my bias because I'm still in love a little bit with Penny. But then again, you just got to look at the situation, and who knows what's happening with Carson at the minute. And then Penny's missed 29 games in his 4-year career so far, so he's hardly a runner back that you can rely on. And he's only signed a 1-year deal worth $5.75 million, so he's not safe. And you expect really Kenneth Walker to come in here and probably take over that running back role. So yeah, it was an odd decision just from a organizational point of view, but for fantasy and for dynasty, I think it's a fantastic landing spot. He's going to get so many touches out of the gate. Hopefully they target him in the running game as well. We didn't see too much of it in college, but yeah, he's the safest houses pick, and he's probably should be the number 2 rookie pick in rookie drafts.
Yeah, personally, I agree. I think he should go 102 in rookie drafts. To be honest, I love the situation that he's landing. I've seen a lot of people weren't too sure about it, but I mean, we're talking about a guy. I think I tweeted out he led the league in missed tackles forced in college. He led the league in yards after contact when running the ball, and now he lands on a team that's going to run the ball. I mean, what's not to love about this? I mean, to me it's a great landing spot. They got whoever they've got at quarterback, whether it's Drew Lock or Geno Smith. I mean, you're going to want to lean on the run game as much as possible early to not have to force your QB quarterback to throw the ball, because neither of those guys I feel super confident with. So Kenneth Walker, I think he's going to see loads of opportunity. The only guy's got to beat out Rashad Penny, a guy that's barely played in the 4 years that he's been in the NFL due to injury. So, I mean, if you're relying on the fact that Penny's going to play the full season, I mean, you're playing a risky game. And I absolutely love Rashad Penny. So it was tough to see that the shares of Penny that I do have, they've kind of gone up in smoke. But I'm all behind Kenneth Walker. I think it's a great situation to be in. Definitely my 102 in rookie drafts, and I think he's absolutely going to smash in Seattle.
Yeah, and I just agree with both you guys. He's the running back 2. He's the 102. I think anybody that's not taking Walker 102 or taking one of these wide receivers or dropping Walker to the 105, that they're not understanding the value of running back versus wide receiver. And there's that tier of wide receivers, usually the top 3, which actually our top 3 we're going to come on to very soon. But yeah, I love the guy. I think he has got some concerns with pass game work, but in terms of volume, he's going to get enough volume to be mid RB2 minimum. I mean, if he gets lucky with touchdowns, he could even be a low end RB1. So yeah, people are worried about the QB situation. I think in Seattle, that's why he's probably getting a bit of stick about maybe sliding down boards, but they're not spending a top 50 pick for him to not be used. So
no.
What a guy. Speaking of what a guy, if you want to record this part of the show, it's going to be Matt's reaction. So yeah, we'll pass it over to Matt and speak about a running back in New York.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about Breece Hall. You're probably wondering why we're talking about Breece Hall second. Is because I demanded that I get to speak about Breece Hall because I want to get everything out of the way before you two have a chance to slam me. So I'm going to start by saying I was absolutely devastated by the landing spot. You all know my love for Michael Carter. Quite funny, I actually fell asleep right before the pick, woke up to my notifications on Twitter absolutely blowing up. Everyone trying to get in touch with me saying, pray for Matt, check on Matt and stuff. So obviously when I knew what happened, I was absolutely devastated because Michael Carter, it's over. The dream's over. I don't care what anybody says. I've seen people defending Michael Carter on Twitter saying that, oh, it's going to be a 50-50 split. It's going to be a running back by committee in the New York Jets. No, it's not happening. And I'm a Michael Carter fan. It's not happening. I'm all about Breece Hall now. Forgot about Michael Carter. We never have to talk about him again. So now that I've got all that out of the way, got everything out of the way. Breece Hall landing in New York with the Jets. It's a perfect landing spot. It's the reason that I love Michael Carter as a talent, and then the situation that he landed in just made it even better. The fact that I love Breece Hall, and again the situation, it's just perfect. This is an offense that's going to utilize the run game. I feel like they didn't really get a chance to do it last year. They was forced to throw the ball a lot. This is a team that's improving every year now. Breece Hall is going to see lots of opportunity. They're addressing the O-line as well, which is only going to benefit Breece Hall. Everything's just pointing towards Breece Hall being an absolute smash. We loved him pre-draft. You've got to absolutely love him post-draft as well, landing with the Jets. 101 without doubt now. It's not even up for debate. I've seen some people saying that they wouldn't take Breece Hall. You're absolutely crazy. If you've got the 101, you're holding on to it and you're taking Breece Hall, and just enjoy the fact that you've got one of the best running backs in this class quite easily. And to be honest, he's going to slot into be an RB1 in fantasy pretty soon. So yeah, all out of the way. Absolutely love the landing spot for Breece Hall. Obviously a shame for Michael Carter, but it's the way things go, I guess.
Yeah, we're just having a moment of silence there for Michael Carter fans. But yeah, just to be honest, there was guys saying that Breece Hall wasn't the 101 and he got an unfollow. So yeah, just what are you doing? He's clearly the 101. He's gonna be going early round 2 in startups this off season. So absolutely mega value. If you've got the 101 in rookie drafts, you can probably sell it for an absolute haul as well. That's one thing that a lot of people probably won't do, because they'll see that Breece Hall is a 20-year-old running back, perfect situation, so much upside, Jonathan Taylor-esque upside. I bet you could get an absolute fortune for it and actually get a better value than where he's going in startups in existing leagues, because people will value that younger running back even higher, I think, than normal. So yeah, 101, what a guy. Over to you, Holly.
I feel like we could talk all show about Breece Hall and how good this landing spot is, but I'm glad you realised, Matt, it is a dog-eat-dog world out there, and I'm afraid Breece Hall is a big bad wolf, and Michael Carter's just a little innocent puppy, and Breece Hall has just swallowed him up. But yeah, you couldn't have summed it up any better, you two. He's a fantastic landing spot. He's a great prospect. He was the 101 before the draft, and now he got taken in the early second round, landed with the Jets. And I absolutely love so many pieces on the Jets offense now. Zach Wilson, I'm high on. Elijah Moore, I was high on. Garrett Wilson, now I'm high on. And Breece Hall. I do think the Jets are going to be sneaky good this year, although we've said that a few times and they've not done so well. But I think it's a new regime, and I think Breece Hall, he has to be the 101. He's just exciting to take there. You're going to feel good when you take him. So yeah, Breece Hall 101.
Can I just add as well? It's a little bit more painful, the fact that the Jets traded with the Giants to take this running back. And I'll stand that this wasn't the right pick for the Jets. They should not have taken Breece Hall. They've got enough in Michael Carter, but I mean, the fact that he's landed there, it's wheels up for Breece Hall.
Is that the spot where you took Wan'Dale Robinson as well in that trade?
Yeah, we traded down to get Wan'Dale Robinson. Brilliant.
It was just a terrible 10 minutes for you.
It was. Thankfully, I didn't get to see it live, but yeah, looking back, it wasn't a great few picks.
So yeah, we're moving on from the top 2 running backs in the classic consensus, and it opens up a little bit the running back 3. But I got a little bit of intel just before the draft that this is a guy that would be the running back 3. You can call me crapsheet, I guess, but James Cook is a really interesting guy for me. He obviously landed with the Buffalo Bills, which people were getting a bit hot and bothered about, hoping Brees Hall land there. But to be honest, I quite like the Jets as nearly as much as the Buffalo landing spot. But yeah, James Cook, really good in the pass game. He's in an elite offense. People worried about Josh Allen rushing touchdowns, etc. But I think they're going to look to protect Josh Allen a little bit more, and I could see him getting scaled back a little bit, just because if you're giving him $300 billion or whatever, you want to sort of look after your asset. You don't want to take it fully away from him because he's got to play that way, but I think they'll be a little bit smarter. Obviously, he's got to get by Devin Singletary as Cook, but again, I think this is a franchise that pretty smart. They seem to go from running back to running back to running back. Hopefully, this is the right one, the last one, but he's someone that's liked a lot more in NFL circles and fantasy. So, running back 3 pre-draft, running back 3 post-draft. It's probably about my best take ever.
Yeah, I mean, James Cook, you got to say, elite name, elite draft capital. Great landing spot for someone. I think he was my RB9 pre-draft, and I bumped him up to the RB5, so I think that's about as high as I'm willing to go for James Cook. I've seen him drafted 106 in one league, which I think was a bit high for James Cook, considering I don't see him having 3 down a skill set. I think he's going to be a pass catcher. I think the Bills should scale back Josh Allen a little bit, but I think that makes Josh Allen as good as Josh Allen is. The fact that he's that dynamic running back, I don't think you're going to hold him back. I think that is his play style, and he'll do that. And I think they've been so successful because he does that. So I think it's good for James Cook, the landing spot. I think it's also good for Devin Singletary that they avoided one of the 2 big names as well. I'm happy to take Cook the beginning to the middle of the second round, but unfortunately I don't think that's going to be good enough to get Cook. So I'm likely going to have little shares. I do want to take 1 share though, just in case Kev is right and he turns into the next Dalvin Cook, or
you don't have to take a share.
Yeah. I think I'm a bit like yourself, Ali. I'm not 100% sure what his role actually is going to be. I personally feel like what you said. I feel like he's going to be that pass catching back. I think we need to remember as well that the Bills were going to bring in J.D. McKissick, weren't they, from Washington before that? For some reason fell through. So maybe is this their now second option of going for a running back that can catch the ball and be that pass catching running back? So personally, I do think that's that situation going to be. It's going to be a bit of a committee with Singletary, but we know that James Cook can run the ball. Wasn't really asked to do it, obviously, in Georgia alongside give me a clue.
Zamir White.
Yeah, Zamir White, that's the one. So yeah, we've not really seen the true upside that he's got in terms of running the ball, but I think that he can do it, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out over in Buffalo with these running backs. Like you said, Ali, though, I think he's a guy I'm not going to get. He's somebody that I'd probably target. Maybe early second, but probably more mid-second. And I've seen him go in I think I've done three rookie drafts at the minute, or in the process of 3, and he's gone round 1 in all 3 of those. So probably a guy I'm not going to get, but like you said, I've got to get 1 just in case that he does turn into. I've seen Alvin Kamara. People have said the next Alvin Kamara on Twitter. So I mean, I'll get 1 share just in case.
Interesting, Alvin Kamara. But yeah, we'll move on to the wide receivers now. We're going to talk about a guy that I think we're all pretty, maybe me the lowest, but the first guy off the board in the actual NFL draft.
Yeah, I can't deny I was pretty pumped to see Drake London as the first wide receiver taken, and couldn't have landed in a more perfect spot for me at the Atlanta Falcons. Very little competition. The quarterback position is interesting, but it's going to be a basketball team with Drake London and Kyle Pitts, the massive dudes. I think it's going to be really fun to watch, and he's now my rookie wide receiver 1. He was my pre-draft wide receiver 3, but I loved him so much. I really wanted to move him up and just find any excuse to push him higher. So this is just fantastic. The fact that I can do it now, and people aren't gonna laugh at me and say, "Oh, he's rubbish. You need Garrett Wilson wide receiver 1." I think people are accepting it now, and he's definitely my wide receiver 1. I'm happy to take him as the first wide receiver off the board. Yeah, Mariota in season 1 is going to be interesting, but perhaps we see Desmond Ridder in year 2 afterwards. We'll see how it plays out, but it's going to be fun. I think the Falcons are going to be a fun team to watch. They're going to be playing from behind a lot, I think, this year. So they're going to have to put up points. And I think Drake London's going to have plenty of opportunities. He could easily finish as the wide receiver 1 this season. He's going to see a ton of targets. He's the first wide receiver I'm grabbing at the 103 spot. I'm really happy to take Drake London just after Kenneth Walker and feel really good about it as someone that I like pre-draft. They've got fantastic capital and someone I think that's got long-term great ability. We're going to see Calvin Ridley come back possibly next year if he's in the right mindset. And again, that just adds to this offense. It's going to be exciting to watch. So yeah, Drake London, I feel really good about him being a wide receiver 1.
Yeah, to be honest, I think I've got him wide receiver 3, had him wide receiver 5 before the NFL draft. And I will just say that I'm in a rookie draft. I think it's in our fantasy wildcard rookie draft in Kev, where I had the 102 and I took Drake London because I think it's probably the only share I'm going to get. I just felt like I'm going to get the next guy we're going to talk about. He's my wide receiver 1. And I'll be getting him in a lot of places. So I just thought this league, why not go and take Drake London? And Ali was in that league as well. I thought,
103.
Did Ali have 103 as well?
So no, you had 103. I think.
I had 103. Oh, that's all right.
I didn't want to do you a disservice and make people think you're taking it 102.
So you're right. Actually, yeah, it was the first wide receiver off the board. So yeah, just in case, I thought I'd take him and get a share. And I think it's an interesting situation he lands in. We spoke about obviously the quarterback situation over there is a little bit dicey, but I mean that can change even as early as next year. And maybe Desmond Ridder, if he's the answer, maybe it could all turn out perfect for Drake London. Sooner than we think. So yeah, the fact he's only really got Kyle Pitts in terms of target over there in Atlanta. The volume's going to be there from him, and that's what you crave as a rookie, somebody to hit the ground running. Drake London's got that coming to him. He's going to see plenty of targets. And yeah, I think he's going to be real solid as a rookie. As I say, my wide receiver 3, but to be honest, they're all probably in one big tier together. And yeah, wheels up for Drake London in Atlanta.
Yeah, he's still in my top 3. He's wide receiver 3. I'm probably a little bit lower on him, sort of QB wise. I don't think Ridder or Mariota fit really well with his style, in the sense that both of those guys are really conservative, really have to see a guy open to throw it. I'm not pretending to be a film grinder. I just know these things, but it's my intel again. But yeah, I think he might struggle early on. The volume is a good thing, but yeah, I think for me, London might be a guy that maybe doesn't flash as a rookie, but is someone that you should be really excited about and going after late this season, or thinking in the off season if he doesn't show as a rookie, because he's got a ton of talent. He's super young. We've talked about how he performed against other kings like the Sun God over at USC. So yeah, I like London, but that bridge QB is going to be hilarious. You could say that London's bridge is falling down, maybe. Maybe not.
Reach.
Yeah, not a reach on it. But, speaking of a guy that wasn't a reach in my eyes, is your next wide receiver, Matt?
Yeah, so it's Treylon Burks. As I said, this is my wide receiver 1 in the class. And to be honest, if you'd have told me before the NFL draft that he's going to land in Tennessee, I wouldn't have been super excited about it, to be honest, but it's because, as we've said, the fact that AJ Brown's now moved on from the Titans, Treylon Burks has gone there. People are saying he's probably the most comparable to AJ Brown. I don't think he's quite there in terms of being an AJ Brown, but I mean, this is a guy that I've been super on. To be honest, I think all 3 of us are really like Treylon Burks leading up to the NFL draft, and now he lands in Tennessee without AJ Brown. There's going to be plenty of opportunities there, and to be honest, it could be a good scheme fit for him as well. We know how he can be used in a variety of ways, like he was in college with Arkansas, and the fact now that he lands with the Titans, a team that's going to run the ball a lot, I feel like they're going to find ways to get the ball in Treylon Burks' hands, and that's only going to add to the excitement, I think, personally, for Treylon Burks. Going to see plenty of opportunity, plenty of targets whenever they do throw the ball. He's basically sliding in. He is that number 1 there. Obviously, we know Robert Woods is over there, but he's recovering from that ACL injury, so maybe he might not even be ready for week 1 of the NFL season. So everything just points towards a great opportunity for Treylon Burks. And as I say, I quite like the landing spot now with AJ Brown moved on. So he's comfortably my wide receiver one. I kind of said that I think I've got them all in a tier, but if I'm being honest, I think Treylon Burks is going to top that tier all the time, and probably the guy that I lean towards 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, I've moved up to my wide receiver one over Garrett Wilson. I just really like the fact that essentially we've got this gaping hole after the superb and amazing AJ Brown went to a really smart franchise. You may know him, the Philadelphia Eagles. But yeah, wide receiver one for me, I just really like the fact that I do think he's got a lot of insulation with them moving up to get him as well. And I think QB-wise, there's going to be an upgrade due in the future. I don't see Tannehill long-term. I don't see Malik Willis long-term either, unless he's amazing. So I think either way, that's going to happen somehow. But yeah, I just really love the talent, love the opportunity. Great fit, actually. He's very similar to AJ Brown in that sense. So they won't have to change their offense too much to account for him. But yeah, just top bloke.
Yeah, top bloke, great fit. Yeah, definitely.
Cheers, Trevor. He's the reason for the trade. Go on.
a good fit, a decent team, a team that's ready to win now, even with trading away AJ Brown to that horrible team in the NFC East. But Treylon Burks is still in my top tier wide receiver, just overtaken by Drake London. Again, fantastic. Is, as you mentioned, Robert Woods might not be ready for start of season. Who knows what? He didn't show up last season very well at all. And Treylon Burks is going to get plenty of looks. So yeah, I'm excited for Treylon Burks. He's definitely an extremely safe pick, and we all know the upside that Burks brings. So happy to take him around the 103 to 105.
Indeed, and this is another guy we're going to move on to that's sort of going in that range, but in my eyes, he maybe shouldn't be going in that range, and it's Jameson Williams, wide receiver for Detroit. So I know you boys are pretty high on this guy. I was the lowest pre-draft, and I've actually dropped him a little bit post-draft. I know that he was it like the second or third wide receiver off the board, and the Lions traded quite a bit to get him, but I really don't like the fit, if I'm honest. I think the Lions are a team full of those sort of short and intermediate volume target monsters. Swift, Hawkinson, the Sun God who I mentioned. I think short term I see him as a bit of a decoy. He's coming off that ACL injury, so rookie season he might not flash. Jared Goff, we know he's not the most what would you say, throw it down the field QB. And then next year you're sort of hoping for them to get one of the top two, the Bryce Young, the CJ Stroud. I'm not sure they'll be in range. Their offense is looking pretty decent, just with getting everyone back, and obviously the King DJ Chark's over there as well. So yeah, I like Jameson Williams. I think he's great, but I just think he could have been a lot better landing spot. I wanted him with a better QB than Jared Goff, and yeah, I still like him, but not as much as you guys.
I'm just interested to see who you've got ranked higher going into next season, Jameson Williams or DJ Chark. Like with the Waddle one, yeah. I actually really don't mind the Landon spot. Initially, looking at these ones, it is the worst on paper, but I think there's a long-term plan with Jameson Williams. They made a crazy move up from, was it pick 32 to pick 12, I think it was, to take Jameson Williams. It was an absolute crazy move. Gave up a shed loads, but they love him. I think long-term he's going to be their wide receiver one. I think he's got the most upside out of all of these wide receivers in this class. Just with that speed that he's got another gear to reach. He's obviously coming off that injury, so you're not picking him now for this season. But I think next season there's going to be a quarterback upgrade coming, and I think Jameson Williams, when it's all said and done, I would not be surprised if he's the best wide receiver in this class, and he's a top 5 dynasty wide receiver in 2 to 3 years' time.
Wow. I love the confidence. I felt like I were on an island, to be honest, because he's my wide receiver still, wide receiver 2 still in this class. I absolutely love James. We all know that I loved him pre-draft anyway. Yeah, he lands with the Lions, and I'll be honest, if you're taking Jameson Williams in your rookie drafts, don't expect too much year one because, as Kev said, obviously coming off that ACL injury, Jared Goff, he's not a great fit with Jared Goff. He's not one of the better deep ball throwers in terms of quarterbacks. But I mean, the upside that Jameson Williams even has got is unbelievable. It's unbelievable, and I feel like it's the best in this class. And I agree with Ali. I think he could end up being one of the best wide receivers in this draft class. Like I said, though, come on, Kev. We'll get you on board eventually. I know it's tough with DJ Chark over there. It's painful that he's come and taken DJ
I'm
Chark.
the sun god.
But no, like I said, I think year one he's probably not going to do too much coming off that ACL injury. But Jared Goff, if he struggles, there's going to be a quarterback upgrade. So I'm not buying into this. He don't fit with Jared Goff because, to be honest, I don't think Goff's going to be starting. I don't think Goff's going to be starting quarterback next year, though. And Jameson Williams probably is not going to play. I don't know. He might even only play 6 games this coming season. So, to be honest, I'm not too bothered. I know it's a long-term investment. I know that I've probably got to wait for next year, but this is my guy, and I know that I've got to get him. If I can wait and move back and get him, then yeah, I'm doing that. But if I know I've got to pull the trigger, a little bit like I said, this draft we're doing in the fantasy wildcard draft, I tried to move up. The guy knew that I was high, Jameson Williams. He said, "You're coming up for your guy, aren't you?" I was like, "Yep." And then he went and took him. So I mean, everybody knows my love for him. I know I've got to move up and get him in these rookie drafts. But yeah, I love the upside and I love Jameson Williams.
And speaking of guys who love the wide receivers, this next one is a favourite of yours, Ali.
He is. It was my sleeper wide receiver pick before the draft. It's Alec Pierce, landing on the Indianapolis Colts. Just landed in a perfect spot, to be honest. He got great draft capital, round 2, pick 53, one spot ahead of everybody's love, Sky Moore. I think he's just a big dude. You know, I love big dudes. Sounds so wrong, but he's also speedy for a big guy. He's 4.41 40. We all know that he carried Desmond Ridder in 2021. 96th percentile speed score, 94th percentile burst score for someone that size. We all know the Colts needed wide receiver help as well. And I'm just so glad that they went for Alec Pierce to land with Matt Ryan. I absolutely love the pairing, and Matt Ryan I think Matt Ryan can still sling it. Alec Pierce can work as that X or Z wide receiver spots. He's got a good vertical threat, so I absolutely love the pairing. I think it's the perfect spot to draft Alec Pierce in the middle to the back end of round 2. I'll be taking him everywhere I can and just feel really good about it. He's going to be guaranteed. He's going to be next year's Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I wasn't super high on him coming into the draft, but there's no denying he lands in a great situation. Got great draft capital being selected in the second round, but now going to the Colts, playing alongside Michael Pittman, having Matt Ryan there as well at quarterback. It's all pointing towards it being a really successful rookie season for Pierce. I think you spoke about getting him late second. To be honest, I've seen him go a little bit earlier than that, so Ali might have to maybe move up a little bit in your rookie draft because I think he's probably going to go mid-second, to be honest, and yeah, I think it's a really great landing spot. I'm not going crazy for him, but he's definitely moved up my rankings now. And as I say, it's a great situation for potentially a really solid rookie season.
Yeah, it's a strange one for me, this, because I actually really liked him, even though I was actually higher than you and he was your sleeper pick. It's quite funny, but yeah, the landing spot I'm not crazy for. When the Colts were on the board, I was thinking Sky Moore is absolutely perfect for that offense across from Pittman, and they took Alec Pierce instead. And I don't know.
They're pretty similar.
I just think
could have been worse. Could have done what Giants did. I mean, at least got an half decent wide receiver.
That's the thing. I do think he's half decent, and he has got upside playing for Cincinnati in college. But I think he's pretty similar to Pittman. I don't see the fit in the offense unless they're changing something, going for like big dudes outside a little bit, maybe like Arizona tend to do. If they're doing something like that, it makes sense. But if they're trying to make him a Z receiver, someone that's going to do all the routes and sort of be a focal point, I just don't see it. So yeah, he's in that tier with all those other interesting guys, but it should have been Sky Moore. And then, wow. I mean, people are going crazy for his landing spot, but I actually would have preferred it with the Colts. And that brings us on nicely to our next guy, Matt.
Lovely segue there, Kev. Yeah, Sky Moore obviously landing with the Kansas City Chiefs in round 2. I mean, I love it. I think everybody loves it, don't they? It seems to be the talk of Twitter at the moment, Sky Moore. And this is a guy that I know when I did a profile on him, one of those Twitter threads on him, he's a guy that I instantly fell in love with when I saw him, started looking at the tape. I'm not a film grinder, disclaimer there, but just seeing what he can do when he's on the field, the fact that he's so versatile, but as well, just the production that he had in college, everything's just pointing towards him being a really exciting pick for the Chiefs. The one thing I will say, people getting excited about landing spot saying, well, he's just going to slot in and be that wide receiver one over there. Even if you do think he's the wide receiver one over there, personally, I think Juju's going to have his argument of being the top target in the Chiefs offense, but as well as Travis Kelce. I mean, people seem to forget about Travis Kelce when talking about the pass catching weapons there. I mean, he's really the wide receiver one over with the Chiefs, and then it's Juju and Sky Moore fighting for the targets. But it's a team that we know is going to throw the ball plenty. He's tied to the best quarterback in the NFL. I think it's safe to say. So there's reason why people are getting excited by him. I'm getting excited by him. Happy to take him. I think I've taken him 109. Taken him 109 in a couple of drafts, I think. So a guy that I'm happy to take at that spot. He's got great upside in terms of what he can do in fantasy. And yeah, shall I say the cliche? The sky's the limit. For Sky Moore.
We love it. Now, there's also Sky Vodka, which is spelled the same. So, yeah, it's probably a lot tastier than Sky Vodka. It's not a bit vile. But, yeah, really great talent. Landing spot's going to push him up boards potentially higher than he should do, but I do appreciate the opportunity he's got. Year 1, it's Juju and Kelce in my eyes, and Sky Moore will get whatever's left. But you've got to think Juju's on a 1-year deal. Kelce's older than most tight ends at Fire, so there's a chance he could be the wide receiver one tied to Mahomes in 1 or 2 years' time, which is mega if he can hit. And I think he's a great fit for that offense as well. You've got obviously MVS flying up the field. You've got Juju doing his bits underneath. Then you've got Sky Moore doing a bit of everything. So really great fit. It is probably a better fit than Colts actually now. But the only caution I have is if you had him really low before the draft, don't be bumping him up 50 spots in your rankings. Like if you had him high, that's fair enough. Just don't overreact too much just based on the landing spot alone.
Yeah, trouble is I think people have bumped him up a bit too much. And to be honest, we all liked Sky Moore before the draft, so we all knew this would be a fantastic landing spot, and he did land here with Pat Mahomes, the dynasty quarterback 1 or 2 in a lot of people's eyes, and it's a fantastic landing spot. I've seen him go above Jameson Williams today, which I think is a mistake personally. I think people are overreacting to that landing spot, but I get it. He could eventually be the wide receiver 1. We're not talking Tyreek Hill, but again, if he's a potential wide receiver 1 in the future, if he is the wide receiver 1 on this offense, so I get it. I think the 108, 109 is his limit for me. So I might not have many shares of him, but I would be taking him ahead of our next guy.
Yeah, nice segue, Ali. Thank you for that. And the next guy is my last pick, Christian Watson, who was drafted by the Packers. I actually had him and Sky Moore very, very similar in the rankings. I've actually got Watson above Moore, but I'm going to have to switch that, I think. What an idiot for putting Watson above Moore. But the reason I've got Watson that high, it's partly to do with the talent that I think is really intriguing. He wins in a variety of ways. He's athletic. He's a runner. He can catch. He's tied to Aaron Rodgers. But I think the big thing for me is the Packers have had so many options, so many opportunities over the last 3 or 4 years to actually get a wide receiver in better classes than this at wide receiver, and they've not. And then in this class, they thought, you know what, we're going to make a trade up, send 2 second rounders and get their guy. So that's a big indication for me that they really like this guy. They've got him high on the books. He's going to be the wide receiver 1 in that offense if he's good enough. So that's probably why I did put him above Sky Moore originally, because he's got, in my eyes, the highest ceiling in year 1 out of all the wide receivers in this class. If he gets 130 targets, which he might if he's good enough. But Yeah, let's move Sky Moore back up above him. But Christian Watson's guy should have very close. If you've got a big gap between them guys, nah.
Christian Watson. I've seen him go 110 to 112. I think that's his sweet spot. Again, you're talking about the wide receiver 6 in this class. Might not feel good to some, but for someone that's tied to that elite quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, and Christian Watson is an athletic freak himself, is tested fantastically. I was high on him pre-draft. To be honest, I've not actually moved him up, even though he's landed in a fantastic spot. Just because the wide receiver was ahead of him, but yeah, I love Christian Watson, and take him at the back of round 1, and you're going to feel really good about it.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think I was the lowest out of us. We went on Watson pre-draft. I have bumped him up a little bit, but still, I think I'm quite low compared to consensus. I've got him wide receiver 9 in my rankings. You said back end of the first. I'd still take him 112. That's where I've currently got him in terms of overall. I can understand there's upside there, obviously tied to a great quarterback and everything, but we've got to remember, I think Aaron Rodgers is a guy that's not really known for throwing the ball plenty to his rookie wide receivers. He tends to lean on those guys that he trusts. We know that they've got Alan Lazard over there. I feel like he's probably the guy that's going to see most of the targets in terms of being Rodgers' number 1. It's a guy that he's known and built a bond with. So I've just got these slight concerns that he might not smash like everybody's hoping year 1. And with that, I just feel like there's just a lot of risk with Watson. He's a guy we knew we're entering that is still quite raw. We still don't really fully know what Watson is. Obviously, we know that the level that he played at in college wasn't the greatest either. So there's still just a lot of question marks for me when it comes to Watson. I understand that there's huge upside there. If it all plays out like we all hope it will, then Watson's going to be a smash, and you're going to feel great this time next year if he's smashing. You got him at the back end of the first. But for me personally, I just feel like there's still some question marks there, and I'm a little bit hesitant on him, maybe compared to people like Kev. I was a bit worried when you said if you've got Sky Moore and Watson miles apart, then and then you didn't really say anything. So I've got a bit of a gap between them. So
I mean, rankings are rankings. I think tier wise, they deserve to be in the same tier. If you've got them in different, you're wrong. Unfortunately, I mean, you're not like you've got them in the same tier. Obviously, you're a smart dude, but I mean, like if you've got him like ranked 206, you're obviously a jerk. So, that brings us to the end of the show where we've recapped some of the key players from the first 2 days of the NFL draft. So, we'll get your quick thoughts on how today's show's gone, guys, and any thoughts you got.
Yeah, so just the first one we've just touched on it with the final 2 guys. It's just be careful with the wide receiver landing spots. People define them as perfect spots. They said before the draft that the Packers and the Chiefs were the perfect landing spots. Just be careful. If you didn't have Sky Moore and Christian Watson ranked too high, don't overreact and put them above players like I've seen them go ahead of Chris Olave and Jameson Williams in drafts, which I think is a mistake. Those 2 are better wide receivers in decent spots themselves. So just don't make that mistake. And actually, I was surprised to see the level of hype for this draft class, considering how low I felt personally straight after the draft. There seems to still be quite a lot of hype. There was a guy messaged me that really he didn't have a first round pick, and I managed to trade away the 106 for a 2023 first, which I was really happy to do. So yeah, there's hype for this draft class, which was surprising to me.
Yeah, I found it funny. I know I started a couple of drafts and I'm like, oh, this is a terrible draft. All those guys that didn't have picks, like, oh, this is a terrible draft. I'm so glad I traded away my picks. But once you start getting those rookie drafts, you'll be surprised how many people start trying to move about the draft board, getting in here, trying to grab these sleepers, these guys that we're not talking about. But I'll just say that the one thing I will say is, like you've touched upon really, is if you've got your rankings pre-draft, don't overreact to it post-draft. You'll feel terrible about yourself if the guy that you really love pre-draft, if you've not bumped him for whatever, you bumped him up and he hits, then just stick to your rankings, stick to what you know, and you're going to feel a lot better however it plays out. Don't just like cave to the consensus, I guess, and feel like you've got to move him because everyone else is moving him. Stick to what you feel, stick to your gut. Obviously listen to us because we're smart guys, but just stick to your process and you'll enjoy it far more.
Yeah, just a quick one from me on this class. It could be seen as a wild card class because there's lots of range of outcomes. It's a bit crazy, but just remember this class has also got a Cook, a White, and a Thornton in it. So that's the real reason it's a Wildcard Classic. That's our surnames, in case you didn't know. So, yeah, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Twitter at Fantasy Wildcard. Also, leave us a 5-star review if you've enjoyed today's show. Really helps us get to a wider audience. And also, join us for our next show. We'll welcome on the brilliant Kevin Coleman from the Devi Royale to complete a post-draft rookie mock draft. Thank you once again. Have a good one.